welcome back to the Pleb Underground. Thank God it is Friday. Guys, we are going to take a look at two things, both of them relating to Jack Mallers. The first one is that he put out an update about their proof of reserves, right? The company, the new company, XXI or 21. Right? Essentially discussing what they're going to do about transparency with their proof of reserves. We're going to take a look at that. But also there was an updated user agreement from about their Bitcoin loans. Right? Strike is now offering, as some people may know, Strike is offering Bitcoin-backed loans, meaning that you give them your Bitcoin as collateral, and they hand you some fiat. Now, there was a little bit of a spat between Jack Mallers and fellow Bitcoiner Pleditor on X/Twitter, and it looks like Jack made a change, right? And he updated, or he got the agreement to be updated, and we're going to take a look at that. Now, before we do, you know the deal. We're going to give some love to the Pleb Underground sponsors, and we will be right back to dive into this story. Here we go. Head on over to Archimedes Emporium. They make absolutely beautiful Bitcoin branded products. They just dropped their first one. It is the solid aluminum Bitcoin clock. I had to get my hands on it so that I could show it to you guys. Take a look. Really, really nice piece. Beautiful craftsmanship. Head on over to archemp.co. The link is going to be in the show notes. That is Archimedes Emporium. Head on over there. Okay, we are back. Let's take a look. What do we got going on here? Okay, so the first thing, right? 21's proof of reserves is live. I got to tell you, Saylor and his excuses, not looking so good right now. Right? Because Saylor made a whole bunch of stuff saying it's not safe, it's not professional, it's all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. And in the end, people could just do things, right? So, hey, look, we got to give credit when credit is due. And I do applaud Jack Mallers for doing this with 21. To me, I don't really see an issue with a corporation having to show proof of reserves. That may be hypocritical. Sorry, I don't feel bad about a giant company, or any company for that matter, having to prove that they have Bitcoin, especially when they are using Bitcoin as the we'll say that the base unit for their products and services. Like, this is nonsense. Like, of course you should know whether they have Bitcoin or not. Anyways, all right, so that's all good. The proof of reserve stuff, that was that was kind of easy for him to fix. What's going to be a little bit more difficult, though, to fix are these the agreements for the Bitcoin backed loans. Now, first thing we are going to start off with, let's just pull up. Hold on a second here. Just going to pull up my browser so I could show you guys the original post. I think this is it. Yeah, that's it. All right, so here we go. All right, so Pleditor, of course, for the people who don't know who Pleditor is, he's a fellow Bitcoiner, and he calls out everything. Definitely calls out everything. So there's no I feel like there's no gray areas here. He will just call it all out. But anyways, Jack, he's saying, so this was a few days ago, right? June 3rd. Jack Mallers lied. If you've been following this space for the last 4 years, this should come as no surprise. Everyone died of starvation waiting on Strike's NCR partnership. Okay, what's he talking about? Back in 2022, if you were at the Bitcoin conference, or you saw the Bitcoin conference live stream, you probably watched Jack Mallers do his little "What's Up" skit, walking back and forth on the stage, and the whole TLDR was, okay, we're bringing lightning to regular payment terminals, and NCR was supposed to be the one that was going to bring that to fruition, and of course, none of that ended up actually happening. Now, of course, there may be something going on behind the scenes. We're just not aware of it, whatever. But I'm just saying, in terms of real world application, we didn't see this. We didn't see this at all. So anyways, after Predator called him out, what did he call him out about, right? He's talking about rehypothecation, and he retweeted this account here, Bitcoin Cartoons. And of course, guys, if you're familiar with our show, we already talked about the rehypothecation. We showed you the email a month ago. Okay, so to the Pleb Underground viewers, you were already aware of this. Now, the big part of this story is that Jack Mallers came back and said, hey, I fixed this. Okay. Hold on a second here. Let me pull that up. Okay. So now, right, we can see right here, Jack says, okay, done. We updated our terms, our agreement, and now this has been dealt with. But the thing is, okay, here we go. I'm just going to pull up this little video.
Yo, what is going on, Bitcoin? A quick update from us at Strike, especially those that are either using or interested in using our Bitcoin-backed lending product. We just updated our loan agreement to clear the air and remove any confusion that the Bitcoin collateral that you have at Strike is safely held by us and our partners in segregated wallets. There's no funny business. There's no trading. There is no on-lenting. And most importantly, there is no rehypothecation. Okay.
It's the only piece of the video that I want to show. Of course, the link's in the show notes. You guys can go back and take a look at the whole thing. It's from his thread. Let's take a look at that updated user agreement. Okay, just for the sake of it, let's take a look. So the new user agreement looks like this. Lender has relationships with one or more capital providers who provide funding to lender in order to provide the loan to you. Okay, you agree and acknowledge that we have the right to use the Bitcoin collateral for the purposes of or in connection with a pledge, repledge, or transfer of Bitcoin collateral to one or more capital providers during the term of this agreement without notice. All right, pretty simple stuff. Any such collateral will be ultimately held in segregated wallets or accounts. And at this point, right, if you look through the Jack Mallers thread, you'll see, people are cheering, hey, great job, this and that. All right, fine. Where it is securely held and not further rehypothecated or on lent to third parties. And you say, Phil, how could you criticize this? Well, this is the last part, and this is the most important part. Right, guys? And subject to the terms in place with that capital provider. Now, look, this is not about bashing Jack Mallers or anything like that. He is doing, in my eyes, he is doing the right things that he can do for Strike. What this particular wording does, okay, this means that he can safely make the claim about Strike. But you see that last piece, subject to the terms in place with that capital provider? I hate to break it to you guys, but if that capital provider, okay, has an agreement with Strike that they can rehypothecate, can use your Bitcoin for other things, then that agreement supersedes your agreement. Okay, I'm really sorry. That's to me. I mean, I've unfortunately read through enough of these legal documents. For the people, for the people who know me for the past several years in Bitcoin, that I worked for a Fortune 500 company, and anyways, the level of, we'll say the level of support that I was working directly with engineering, and as a result, I would often look over a lot of this type of documentation, right? A lot of this legal documentation. Like when you put out a product, right? When you put out a software product, in almost every single case, you have to review the user agreements. You have to review all of the terms and everything like that. There's even reviewing of all the technical documents and stuff like that. So all of this, right? If something has changed, then the lawyers, right, or at least the technical writers, they have to then go in right? And make those appropriate changes for the language. Now, that is exactly what happened here, okay? The language was simply modified. And they're just telling you, hey, look, on strike's end, nothing is going to happen. But, however, all of this is subject to the terms in place with that capital provider. And guess what? As much as, we have no idea what the terms are with that capital provider. Now, I'm not saying this to say, oh, Jack didn't do enough or anything like that. No, this is not criticism about Jack. This has to do with the particular system that we all, the economic system that we all live in and interact with. Okay. Now, it's obvious, or at least to me, it's obvious that Jack wants to make a product as best as he can to service as many people as possible. And of course, right, the goal is, to further Bitcoin, and, those are the altruistic goals. But then of course, there's also the individual based goals of, wanting, whatever it is that you want, power, money, whatever it is. What I'd like to see would be complementary updated agreements from the capital providers. Now, if the capital providers were to add essentially a statement to this, right, indicating that they commit on their end not to rehypothecate the Bitcoin that is being used for collateral, then I think we're making a little bit more of a headway. Now, is it at all possible that because of Jack's disposition towards this, that may end up causing these capital providers to rethink and maybe decide, hey, maybe we should do this? Who knows? But I'll tell you one thing though. In the traditional, at least from my experience, with equities and whatnot, I had never heard for real of rehypothecation before Bitcoin. And I guess let me add a little color to that. I had never heard anyone care about it before Bitcoin. But being in this space for as long as I have, it seems to be, when it comes to the people who hold their own keys, right? They really care about the fact that, which is kind of weird, right? Because you're lending your Bitcoin to a third party, which obviously makes you subject to that third party. But, there seems to be this obsession with the rehypothecation. And I don't have a problem with it. Like, I'm not saying I don't have a problem with rehypothecation. I think that is crap. I'm saying that I don't have a problem with Bitcoiners demanding that the assets don't get rehypothecated. Like, yes, I think that is, obviously I think that's fantastic. So look, Jack is doing what he can. I definitely think so. I do think this is a step in the right direction. This is not, some clip to go and shit on Jack or anything like that. All it is, I'm just trying to point out to you guys, if you are indeed thinking about getting one of these loans, and that, that new video just, made you feel all happy, right? That Jack said there's no rehypothecation or anything. Unfortunately, guys, and again, right, I'm not afraid to display my ignorance. Maybe I don't understand. Like, hey, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not sitting here pretending to be some financial advisor or something like that. I'm just telling you, from the way that I'm reading this language, we are all, if you have a loan, right, we are all still subject to the terms and agreement between the capital provider and Strike, which we have absolutely no optics into, none at all. So if you're going to be doing this, if you're going to be collateralizing your Bitcoin and you're going to be taking fiat against it, you're going to be doing it through Strike. Doesn't even make a difference who you do it through. Just, I think that you do. I think, unfortunately, you do kind of have to imagine that it may blow up, right? It may go horribly wrong. Now, it may not go horribly wrong right away. It may take some time, and I hate comparing XXI to Celsius because it's not the same thing at all. But I think that people fail to recognize that Celsius started marketing to crypto people and Bitcoiners. I think it was in 2019, because I remember it was the end of that first bull run where we went to 19 something. And then, of course, we started to crash. And then all of a sudden, Celsius came out, and you started seeing these videos with Alex Mashinsky talking about how the banks did us all wrong, and I'm going to do this right and this and that. Look, I love the words, right? They all make us feel so good. Jack is definitely trying to do the right thing. Unfortunately, though, I just want people to be aware that he does have absolutely no control over what the capital provider does. Okay? He can only control what Strike is going to do. Anyways, guys, be safe out there. There's I still think that we're going to see some fireworks. I don't think that the bull run is over. I think we're just kind of taking the little summer break, right? The lulls. I know there's some older Bitcoiners crying that we're dead at 103. What is it? 102K, 104, wherever the hell we are. Yeah, no. We're not dead. This is just beginning. All of these businesses that you see cropping up around Bitcoin, all around the space, okay? I've said this before. There's going to be a lot of losers, but there are going to be some winners. There are, in fact, going to be businesses that do provide valuable products and services, and they will exist. I just don't know if I really see them yet entirely. Anyways, just be cautious, guys. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will catch you all on probably Monday, most likely. It depends. If nothing crazy happens over the weekend, because really, I only do these episodes for stuff I actually genuinely want to talk about, right? Like it's because otherwise there's just no passion. I just don't care. But yeah, so guys, have a great weekend. I will catch you on the next one. Peace.